Oh my God. Excuse me. If you know, you know. By the way, when did I start wearing rings? I don't know. What is up, everybody? Random Man here, bringing you my review for the drama in one take. Now, the plot of this drama film follows a happily engaged couple whose relationship is tested with an unexpected revelation during the week before their wedding. Going into this movie, I was very much looking forward to seeing it, mainly for its two leads, and that it looked like it wouldn't be a typical romantic drama kind of film. Now, this movie came out over a week ago, so I am a bit late to the party on this one, but I managed to avoid any and all discourse around this movie, given that what I mentioned in the plot synopsis, having to do with an unexpected revelation, has been the biggest talking point around this film, and that is what had me even more interested to see it now, finally, and I can give my own 2 cents as to how this movie just was presented to me, basically. Starting out with the cast and their performances. We have Zendaya as Emma, a bookstore clerk who I have always loved. Zendaya, I should say. As an actress, I first saw her on Disney Channel's Shake It Up, and of course she has gone to bigger and better things. Of course, with HBO's Euphoria, she has won 2 Primetime Emmy Awards for Outstanding Actress in a Leading Role. I believe that is what the category is called. In fact, tomorrow, Sunday, April 12th, the show returns for its 3rd season, with, of course, Zendaya being the lead again, Rue. And there's so many other things that she's done in the past decade or so. I was even this close to meeting her at one point almost a decade ago, in November of 2016. Yeah, she was promoting a clothing brand, I think, something like that, and I didn't get a chance to meet her, but there's this impromptu selfie that I tried doing with seeing her on top of a car as well, too, for the whole crowd to see. Yeah, that was quite a day. But anyway, Zendaya in this movie as Emma, she has a lot to work with here, as her character is the one who has that unexpected revelation that is super startling, to say the least, and she carries a lot of that with her after it is revealed. And how she navigates all of this, it makes you identify with her, even given the circumstances as to what this revelation have to say, and how it just lays itself onto the other characters, including her fiance, Charlie, played by Robert Pattinson. Using his natural British accent, he plays a museum curator who is, I would say, more on the timid or nervous side. After this revelation is revealed, he is a nervous wreck, to say the least, but this is the kind of role that shows how much range he has as an actor. The chemistry between himself and Zendaya, I think, is off the charts. I mean, they are amazing together in the more lovey-dovey moments that we have early on, and then after this revelation occurs, there's a lot with how the relationship is carried on, and no less during the week before their wedding. Already a stressful time. I mean, weddings are just quite a daunting task to take on. That's a big takeaway I have from this movie, although I've already thought that before seeing this film. Supporting characters include Mamadou Athie and Alana Haim as this married couple who are friends with Emma and Charlie, and it is during this wine tasting, all 4 of them sitting down together, that initiates all of them revealing what is the worst thing they have possibly done in their lives. And Haim's character in particular carries a lot of scorn and just is very fiery compared to Athie as her husband, who is more laid back, trying to be cool, calm, and collected. But that is what sets off this movie altogether. The performances all around, I think, are quite strong, especially from Zendaya and Pattinson. And with this movie, the writing and directing was done by Christopher Borgli. Now, I've never seen any of his prior movies. The previous film of his that has been released by the same studio as the drama is Dream Scenario, starring Nicolas Cage. I believe he got a Golden Globe Award nomination for that film, so that is how I remember that, but I haven't seen that. I heard that it is more out there than this movie. This is trying to be a more grounded drama. I mean, I'm going to say drama a lot throughout this video, so if you haven't heard that word already, you'll hear it more now. But in any sense, this movie is trying to be more grounded, but of course it has that twist of sorts to where Zendaya's character just says something that she has done or has been just further fleshed out as we see flashbacks throughout the rest of the movie, and it totally changes the vibe and dynamic as to how the whole narrative goes. We do see glimpses of the past relationship between Emma and Charlie. Their meet cute at the beginning of the movie I thought was quite lovely, actually. I mean, Zendaya's character is deaf in one ear. I can relate because I am deaf in my left ear specifically. Her character's ear is the right one that is not able to function, and with that, you get to see how they meet and then how it develops in terms of a relationship, all of that together. But then, of course, we have that wine tasting happen, and for, I would say, like, maybe the last 80 minutes or so of this movie, that is when the film really rocks back and forth between seeing how the characters are trying to cope with what has been revealed, how they're going to carry on with the rest of the week leading up to this wedding. Again, weddings are already so stressful, and it is this kind of package that I think is very complex and compelling altogether. Borgley, in what he does with his writing and directing, really presents us something that gives us a lot of food for thought, and then also with his stylistic choices, it is very in your face. It is very in your face after that revelation is dropped, and it goes into more of the backstory of Zendaya's Emma and just how these other characters are coping with this whole thing together, because it's a big deal to try and drop all this. Again, I'm trying to teeter around this in case you haven't seen the film, even though it's been out for over a week. I don't want to give anything away in case you haven't seen it. And with that, it brings up a lot of potential what ifs or questions. Just how do you see yourself with this person that you're literally about to marry and spend the rest of your life with, and just have this all come together? I mean, it's a lot to take in, but I think that is what the movie navigates so well here. One could say that even with the revelation that is shown with Zendaya's character, that her character is not given too much in terms of backstory besides that, in terms of how it just affects the other characters that know. And same thing with Pattinson's Charlie, to where when a lot of the focus is put on him, it's just him like trying to like cope or like manage his stress over like, oh my god, this person is the person I'm about to marry, but this revelation occurred, all that together. But I think that is what carries the movie, and it keeps going all together, in that I was always engaged with what I was seeing. Stylistically, I think the movie has a very simple aesthetic about it too. I think this was shot on digital, but it made it look like it was on film. Maybe it was shot on film, I'm not sure. But it had like a filmic, grainy look to it that I thought was very modern, but also in a sense it kind of felt like, you know, rom-coms of yesteryear, but this is more so a romantic drama or romantic dramedy, comedy and drama together, which is another big thing I have to mention too, because the movie toes the line with being a very dark comedy here. Initially there are a lot of laughs, whether it's awkward or you're with the movie because you're getting into the characters' relationship with each other and it gets dark. The movie, for lack of a better term, gets dark because once we get into the lead up of the wedding, the big final sequence here, a lot of things just end up erupting, so to speak, and all of that in between just helps carry and reinforce a lot of the messaging that the movie has too. A lot of mixed messaging or signals here as exemplified by the characters. And again, that goes into the whole big debate that this movie has in terms of like, what would you do if your partner or significant other had something about them in their past that now is like just out in the open, and what are you going to do with that going forward in the relationship? There's talk of that in here too, but also specifically with the revelation involving Zendaya's character, that is a big can of worms to open up as well too, to try and even talk about or get into. But I think it just in the confines of what the movie's doing narratively, I think it has a lot of stuff that just left me thinking. And while I was watching the movie and then also coming home after the movie, I was thinking like, well, yeah, like how these characters are going about it, but you know, the pros and cons, a lot of this coming together. And I think that is ultimately why I think that this is a more than solid film overall. Sure, I think the movie does have a tendency at times to go through similar motions a bit in certain sequences or certain moments here, but I think that is the point. Again, the movie is very in your face with its whole style, the way it is cut and edited together. There are certain montages or like snippets where we have sequences of Emma's past come in and just thrown at us just to get us more into the characters' heads. I think that is what the intention was here. And how the movie is paced all together. The movie runs at about an hour and 45 minutes, and there's a lot that happens here, and I think is a pretty compact way of trying to go ahead and do this. It comes together in a package that I think is compact and to view, and I don't think it ran for too long or too short, anything like that. The original score by Daniel Pemberton, I have to give a shout out to as well, because it helped bring in the tension and just kept the movie going along here, because yeah, you're feeling moments of stress, but also moments of like, just involving some awkward moments between either the main couple or just stuff that eventually does transpire by the end. And then getting into the ending, I will say that I thought the way the movie ended was something that I honestly kind of loved, because even though we have gone through just everything that happened all together, I felt like it ended in an honest way in terms of how the movie was presenting itself overall, and just how to just go ahead and cope with all this and just keep going forward or anything else like that. It was even hinted at early on, well before a lot of other big events happened in the movie are actually happening. It was hinted at early on, and now it came full circle by the end, and it was actually acted upon. So it's like, okay, that's what I thought made the movie for me in many other ways, on top of the performances here and just the overall presentation and just the complexities that involve these characters in terms of the writing and how it is just all put into play. And yeah, I'm so glad that I now get to, I should say, give my own opinion on this. And I look forward to any more discourse around this movie if it's still in the main conversation in terms of movies out right now. So yeah, in any sense, for all that I have said, I really enjoyed the drama. I definitely recommend it. With all that being said too, my final verdict for the drama is 4 out of 5 stars. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of the drama. Social media links in the description. Subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.